Where's the love? Where's the love? It's right here in the heart of the city. I'm Silas Grant, and I got my man with me.
Yeah.
What's up, TL?
What's up, bro?
You all right?
Man, I'm doing really good, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, just left a dinner, Angel and former guest Keem at Bronze, man.
Okay.
Yeah, you had a women's dinner, DC or none women's dinner, man.
Yeah, Women's History Month.
Yeah, for real, celebrating some of the queens that we are, that we love and respect and are inspired by. Of course, we couldn't, host all of the queens that we love, respect, and are inspired by. But we had a few in there strategically set at beside each other at different tables to foster collaborations that we think will help, move the needle with the city. So I was very happy to be a part of that.
You wasn't in it like Ron, was you?
Was you?
Ron was like happy Women's Month.
I definitely was like LeBron and Jeannie Buss, man, in there, man. I had to come on, get out of there, come on down here, man. You know what I'm saying?
Shout out to Bronze, man, our king, man.
Yeah, man.
That
for
rice,
real.
man. That rice and bronze.
Hey, listen.
Incredible.
And he got the full menu out. Then he had his sister come out and talk about, she the head pastry chef.
Okay.
And talk about the dessert. She did like a triple chocolate thing for chocolate city. Like, it just what they put together.
It's good.
Yeah, man, it was incredible. So yeah,
good.
bro. But what's up with you? You good?
Yeah, man, I'm good, man. I'm good.
I'm excited about today's show too, bro.
I am too.
Got a good man with us, man.
Good man with us,
You know what I'm
man.
saying?
Good Northeast man with us.
Yeah,
man,
yeah. He spent a lot of time, around my way.
Okay,
so it's
okay.
like, but I'm
He more five,
yeah,
though. We can share.
exactly.
We
For sure.
That's
Nah,
all right. That's
we
Yeah.
got my man in here, Tre Kelley. What's up, Tre?
man, I'm good, man.
One and only, man.
One and only Tre.
Good to be
man.
around you guys, man. This is the second time we did this.
Yeah.
I thought about that the
Like
other day.
2011. I
Yeah,
think.
and that's when this thing first started out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, bro.
Absolutely. I can't remember what the location was, but I was telling my uncle, that I was returning tonight. He was happy about that.
Yes,
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
Mhm.
We was up on Illinois Avenue.
Yeah.
Okay,
At the
yeah,
time.
it was
by
yeah,
Kennedy
yeah.
Street. That's
Yeah,
where that joint was
yeah.
at.
But now we back, man. So it's been like 13 years since
Yeah.
we sat down with
Mhm.
you. For the folks that don't know you, take some time and talk about who you are, how you got to this point.
Northeast guy, man. Washington, D.C. From the start. I know us D.C. guys, we like to talk about the school system that we grew up in. And, when it comes to basketball, when people talk about basketball, the Catholic schools kind of rule. They always have the private schools. But I was DCPS all the way through,
Yeah.
Kindergarten until I graduated from Dunbar High School in the 12th grade. Went on to the University of South Carolina. I played there 4 years. Enjoyed my time there. Spent some gracious time there. That 8-year span of my life, the 4 years in high school, 4 years at the University of South Carolina, really did a lot for me mentally and in the soul. Because I had went through so much in my first, 15, 18 years.
Yeah.
Going through a lot of battles, with death, going through a lot of things in tough neighborhoods that I grew up in. And those 8 years, made me a different person. I learned how to be sophisticated, and I learned how to, teach myself a lot of things. When you come from a certain place, especially Washington, D.C., and, the neighborhood I grew up in, Brentwood and Northeast, you could pretty much gather yourself anywhere,
Yeah.
And I learned that about myself. Learned so many things about myself along the road. I leave South Carolina 2007, and I played 14 years as a professional pretty much all over the world. I think when we did this before, I was only going into my 4th year,
Right.
and I've already
Right.
retired and, played another 10 years after that, and spent some incredible times, man, all over. I think when we did this, I was on my way to China.
Is it China?
China,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I was on my way to China, and spent a couple of years there. The previous years from that, I was in Croatia, I was in Greece, and I was in Israel. Right before we filmed the last time, I was in Belgium, and I already played 1 year in China. So I repeated in China. I left there and went to Italy. I had some stints in the NBA, back and forth, and played in the NBA D League a couple times. Played in Turkey. That was my longest stint. I played about 4 or 5 years in Turkey. My favorite place, Istanbul. If you guys, I called you.
Yeah, you did.
One time. I called you. Missed that opportunity, but I called him and invited him.
Crashed out.
I called him, invited him over there, man.
Amazing things.
Man, an amazing place from A to Z, from the food, to the shopping. Me living there for 10 months, you get a chance to do everything as a normal person, just grocery shopping and going to the movies, things of that nature.
Yeah, citizen,
and it was perfect, man. It was perfect. Played in. I had short stints in places where I would play like in China for my regular season, and there would be other places that you can play, to make a little bit more money for another month or two.
Right.
So I did places like Lebanon, I did Venezuela, I did Uruguay and South America.
That's what I was like. He was in South America somewhere too.
Yeah.
Okay, so he was in Venezuela and Uruguay.
Yeah, and it was a 14-year career, man, and coming from, where we come from, you just can't ask for anything better. And I really cherished it. I was one of those guys that I don't think, even if you go down to the greats, the NBA greats, the all-time greats, there's no person I feel like cherished the game like I did. I'm going to practice for 2 hours. I'm going to work out again. I'm working out. I got routines that I do on my off days because I loved it so much. And it wasn't, some people don't get drafted or don't go to the NBA or don't play a long time in the NBA, and they feel as if they don't have to do all the same things that they would do in the NBA as far as the work ethic. But I kept that up, for a very long time.
Yeah.
And it felt good. It felt good because I was really honing my craft, and I did a lot of great things, man. Did a lot of great things. And it was, it was a pleasure, and to be honest, because I know more than anybody where I come from, know more than anybody. You know more than anybody where you come from, not just the place, but what's going on inside. What's going on inside, what your thoughts are, what your feelings are about everything that's surrounding you. And for me to surpass those things and open up about, myself, about my story, about my past, which at one time I didn't, and it was haunting me a little bit because I wouldn't talk about the things that I've been through, the death and, growing up in a certain place, seeing so many different things. I wouldn't open up, in my first 20, 21 years. And when I started to open up and tell my story, it was like therapy because I never went and talked to anyone about anything. Like as far as like a therapist, a shrink or anything, I never talked to anybody. I remember my dad coming to me as an 11-year-old, and I just lost my mom to a brutal murder. And he was like, do you want to go talk to somebody about this? I can, find somebody that you can go and talk to, a therapist. And at 11, man, I can't, looking back, I can't imagine how I was that mature. The death made me that mature, to be honest with you. I was a regular kid before that day.
Sure.
But this is before her funeral. And I'm telling my dad, I said, man, is this person I'm going to talk to, does he live right here where we live at? Did he just lose his mom or her mom? Do they come from D.C.? Do they realize the things that we realize coming from this kind of place? Do they see these different things? If not, I'll be fine. Like, I'll make it through this, man. I know the things that I want to do, and we can go through that part. I don't know if I shared that back then. There was a divine moment. I'm talking about a divine 5 minutes after I learned the news about my mom's passing, and that changed my life. That 5 minutes changed my life, and I told him no, and I went on. Not to say that people don't need that, because people do. And I don't know if I did or not.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure,
But I had a certain mindset at that time, and for me, man, it was that I was gonna make it regardless. I just was gonna make it regardless, because I told one of my buddies the other day, and we've been talking a lot the last couple of months. We've been friends for almost 30 years. And I told him the other day, man, there was never, ever a time where I felt like giving up. Like, not one time. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Not one time did I feel like, man, I can't do this anymore. I failed so many times. I lost so many times, made mistakes so many times. And it was like, okay, what do I do to kind of move forward? You know what I'm saying? And that was the question that I asked myself when my mom passed. Like, what do I do from here? Like, what happens? And we can go through like I said.
Nah, yeah, but I mean,
was-
I'm just as you just said a lot, right? And I'm sitting here, I'm thinking about like, you know, I know how much you talk about how much you love the game. You don't think nobody
Absolutely.
love the game,
For sure.
as much, right? And I know that you found the game
Yeah.
early on
Absolutely.
in your life,
For
right?
sure.
How do you feel that the game? What role did the game play in your resilience,
Mm-hmm.
in your ability to say, I'm gonna get through whatever it is, right?
Right.
Did you lean on the game?
Yes,
and
indeed. Absolutely leaned on the game.
And with that, you talked about loving the game more than anybody, but you also was better at the game than a lot of motherfuckers.
Probably because of that. To be honest with you, because of that.
Yeah, what was the correlation in that though too as well, right?
It helped me be disciplined. You know, when you growing up in Hanover, you growing up in Brentwood, Saratoga. I call it Brent. The older guys call it Brentwood. You know what I'm saying? You know how I go. Montana's right there. Those are my guys. You need discipline.
Yeah.
Like, you literally need to know when not to go where trouble is about to be. You have to. We lost our first buddy around like 7th grade. We all was like playing around, about to go to the pool.
Mm-hmm.
Pool is right behind the apartments, and we go in the house, change up, put our shorts and stuff on, and we run around the back, and there's ambulance everywhere. He went first and drowned. Drowned. We not even in the 7th grade yet. This is the summer leading to the 7th grade. Yeah. And I'll say about 2 years later, we lost, can't remember if we lost Kevin or Fats first, but I'm thinking we lost Fats first, that went to Spingarn, that got killed in 99.
You played ball, right?
Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah, it was amazing. One the best player I've seen at that time in regards to that 3 or 4 year group of guys older than me, you know. Right. And that started all the death, and I saw this happening. I saw my friends conforming to different things, going out into the streets. You get, friends showing us gun, I got the joint now and this and that. And when you see that and you have something on your mind, because you're thinking, if I'm 15 in the year 2000, I'm 4 years removed from my mom's death. And I needed every bit of that discipline in order for me to survive. It wasn't about, we learn survival when you're that young and in the streets. You see so many different things. But the discipline, I think, helps you survive, because you have to know when to stay away from different things. And I was doing it without even trying, because I wanted the other stuff so bad. Now, we could go back to 1996, and I'm sitting on the couch just like this, man, but I'm more so on the left side, right? And you're Peyton. James is here. Michael Hicks, who went to Dunbar, is here. He was older than me. These are all my uncle's friends, actually. It's a summer day. I don't even know why we were watching TV. Wasn't too much sports going on in August. Right. So I'm not sure what we were doing. But we was just at my grandmother's house. A lot of people used to come over there. She used to cook a lot of food, things of that nature. So we were just kind of sitting in there, and I'm sitting on the edge. And let's say where Silas is, there's a wall. There's a wall in our apartment. And that wall, where that wall is, it leads to 2 other rooms. So you have my uncle's room on the left, and then my grandmother's room is on the right. The bathroom is straight ahead once you get through that hallway. And she lets out a scream, and Mike is telling me, look, you need to check on your grandmother, because Mike can see through to the room. I couldn't, because I'm I'm here. And my position, and the wall was blocking me. So I kind of leaned to the right a little bit, and I see her crying. And when I go and walk towards the room, now she can see me, right? And looking back on it, she had already started hurting for me, because she yelled my name like 5 or 6 times, you know, and I couldn't imagine what she was about to tell me. You know, I couldn't even fathom what she was about to tell me. And I'm asking her, you know, Grandma, what's wrong? What's going on? All she said was that they found your mother, you know. And I was eating some sweet potato pie that she had baked. And I turned around and slammed it up against the wall, right? And I stormed out the apartment. You know, I remember pulling the door open. We had like 5. We lived on the first floor, but it was like, you know, a short stairwell to get to the first floor. I jumped down there, pushed the apartment door open, and I went blank for about 5, 6 seconds. Just totally don't remember how I got on Saratoga Avenue. Cannot remember that part. I remember everything else until I got up the street. And when I got up the street, I'm coming to. Like I'm kind of grasping what I just heard, but the world was like this. Yeah. And when that calms down, and I wasn't crying, I wasn't screaming, I didn't make a noise, I just ran. And I remember some older guys kind of up ahead of me, and they were looking like, you could tell they was looking like Tre probably looked crazy. You know, like what's going on with Tre? Right. You know, you could see them looking and asking, because I'm not saying anything. I'm not screaming, I'm not crying. And James, who was sitting 2 people away from me, he's the only one that came out of the house, and he yelled my name, Tre, come on, man. Come on, man. And when he walked up on me, because I had just stopped. I stopped running, and I was just like standing there, like trying to get myself together. He came up on me, put his arm around me like, come on, man, we got you, man, we love you. Let's go back to Grandma's house. I said, okay, cool. We go back, and when we're walking back, man, this is the 5 minutes that I'm talking about. My first thought to myself was like, damn, you know, I'm not gonna see my mom again. And I'm trying to like understand that, you know, I'm trying to, how is that possible in my mind? You know, I'm keep saying it to myself, I'm not gonna see my mom again. And from that quickly went, okay, how am I gonna make her proud of me? It was like I was doing this in my head. Yeah. Like, how am I gonna make her proud of me? And something told me just to look to the left, and there was the basketball court. And something told me, that's what if you want to make her proud of you, that's what you do. And I remember that the rest of that walk, we're in the middle of Saratoga Avenue, so we live right on the corner of 14th Street, Saratoga Avenue, right on the corner building, which is 2500 14th Street. And it took us about, you know, we were walking pretty slow, about 2 minutes, 3 minutes to get back in. And that whole time, it's almost like I'm not even thinking about the death anymore. Literally, I'm thinking about, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. All right, kind of like I'm amping myself up to be this certain kind of basketball player. Now before this, I'm not. Nobody's thinking like Tre's pretty good. Tre's gonna be a pro. This was this moment that told me, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. So I had to go back and face reality. I go back into the apartment and I go back to my grandmother's room and, you know, what happened? You know, what happened? And she's like, well, he beat her to death. And, you know, my mom was having an affair with the guy, right? And she returned home twice, battered, you know. I was closed one time, shut. The marriage with her and my dad was estranged. The second time she came back home, her jaw was like, it was almost like the side of her face had fallen in her skin. It was like dropped, her jaw was dropped into her skin, in a sense. And there was like a 10-month span, man, where a 10, 11-year-old, I can't even imagine, you know, our kids seeing that. You know, the time that she met this guy, from that time to the time that she passed away, I can name 10 events that I can't even fathom, The 2 times she came home battered. My dad, actually the height of that time, my dad won the lotto for like 35 grand. Went and bought a car. The car ends up getting stolen during this relationship. Right. We come home another time, I think like February, couple months after Christmas. I just get all these gifts and, Sega Genesis and all that. We come home one time, everything's gone. It looked like, like one of those TV shows when it's the last episode and they clean the house out. Unbelievable. I remember the Checkers on New York Avenue. I actually searched the other day to try to figure out when that Checkers opened, because I know at that time I had never been to Checkers.
Right. Because they wasn't,
that's what,
when they opened, and they wasn't in this area, and that was like
right.
brand new. That probably was around that.
Yeah,
around that time.
we meet the guy. So my mom and dad had a house over on Galt Place in Northeast.
Yeah,
remember what's the girl's name, man? Had the 5 o'clock in the morning. She had the video.
She shot it on the
on the liquor store.
And that liquor store that's right there on the yeah.
So you go past that liquor store, you just keep straight, go down the hill, that's where the house is.
Got you.
Right? And I remember at that particular time, my mom had a good friend, a woman that lived across the street. And we were at the Safeway off of Minnesota, in the back over there.
Yeah.
We needed a ride. We had so many bags. She was like, I'm going to call my god brother or stepbrother, one of the two. He shows up. And we have never met this guy. I could tell my mom had never met him. And he drops us off. That's a 5-minute drive. But I'm sitting behind him in the car. The woman who's his stepsister or god sister, whatever, is in the front. My mom is behind the passenger. When we get out the car, right before we get out, my mom takes a look at him. And it was, even as a 10-year-old, I could tell that was a cozy look.
Yeah.
Next time I see this guy is about a week or two later at the Checkers. You know what I'm saying? And I remember probably like 2 days later, I was at the movies with them two, watching the movie New Jersey Drive. Can't even watch it no more, after that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it was just a rough 10 months, her and my dad. And I grew up in a home where it was marriage. You know what I'm saying? It was marriage. It was never anything. And I hung out with my dad a lot, and I never seen him with another woman. If it was, he hid it.
Sure.
And a lot of guys and husbands who indulge in that sometimes can't hide it from the child, especially a son.
Yeah, definitely.
So I never seen
definitely saw every year.
And I never saw it. Right? I never saw it, and I saw him go through it, with that situation. It was so tough. Even doing, like I said, this 10 months. I haven't wondered when I want to release this, but I think we talked about it years ago. It's a book that I wrote called 10 Months, and it's this 10-month span. Another time, my mom and dad were occasional drug users, right? And I remember, my mom, she was like, she had, she was only coming home to see me after school. Before my dad gets home from work, she's gone again. Right. So their marriage was just broken at the time. And I remember he had a rough night, drinking a lot, and he's thinking about his wife. It hurt him that he was losing her like that. And I remember there was a knock at the door. Now at the house, you open the door, you're about 2 steps away from a long stairwell, probably about 20 steps. The back leads to a bathroom. If you take a right, there's the other rooms. There's 2 rooms, my room, my mom and dad's room. So the light was on in the bathroom, and me and my dad are in the room watching TV. Knock on the door, you can hear a guy saying, "Man, I told you to give me my fucking money. Where my money at? And I can't remember exactly what my dad was saying, but man, I heard a gun cock.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh. And I go to the top of the stairwell, and the light is on. So the guy can see that the light is dimming because somebody's standing there. So he looks around my dad, and now he sees me. And he calmed down a little bit. You know, that's back in the day where
Yeah, that meant something.
the kid,
You see a young, you got it. Yeah.
it's a little different now. And his voice got lower, still a little upset. Turned the gun around, slapped my dad with it. Dad falls to the ground. The dude leaves. Say, man, I think he said, you better give me my money, but he left. Comes up the steps. My dad has this big knot and gash on his face, and this is all in that time. And it's like, what's going on here? And I think about that sometimes in regards to how I handled my mom's death. Because even though those things were going on, man, for some reason I didn't feel like I was going through all of that. You know what I'm saying? I thought I was a normal kid, but I really was going through some things
super traumatic.
That helped me, you gotta ball up your fist a little bit when you go through stuff like that. On the inside, you're balling up your fist to guard yourself from something. And I think that's what I was doing. So when my mom passed, looking back on it, man, I was more mature than I actually thought I was. But now when I look at it again, from time to time, there was some things before that helped me grow up a little bit more. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, your innocence was getting chopped away at.
For sure.
Through that process.
For sure.
Now,
Now,
you know what I mean?
now after she passed, I do pick up the ball really hard. I picked it up beforehand, but I really pick it up, and like my head is down. Like I'm really going at any and everybody in a way that they couldn't understand. And it was me kind of, I guess not escaping the past, but in a sense taking the past with me and kind of making it better, kind of making, because it was, all those things were set in stone. My mom is gone. She's not coming back,
right.
Right. But what could I do, like I said, to make her proud? So that really became a focal point, because I used to think about that. When that popped into my mind, the fact that she smiled one time with me playing and used to tell her friends, he playing basketball. I won the championship at St. Luke Church.
Yeah.
And I was like a role player. I was playing center, power forward at the time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But she smiled heavily. And, you could see that she was really proud of what I was doing out there. So that's what I took along the way with me, at least in those beginning years.
Wow. I remember the first time I saw you play, because you like probably 5 years younger than me.
Okay, I'm 39.
Yeah, I'll be 45 this year. So we
Mm-hmm.
like 5.5, somewhere in there, right? So I was away in college when you were like in high school,
Okay.
right? I got back from college and was going down to the farms a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember seeing you, and I had heard a little bit of the story about your mom.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't know how she passed.
Right.
I just knew your mom had passed. But what you just shared now comes full circle for me, because when I first saw you play, I was like, how people say that somebody might say, that person's an animal, right? Nah, he was a cold-blooded
Man,
animal.
Greg and Muhammad, at the museum, man, would call me the gangster.
Yeah.
And I wasn't, that ain't even my persona. You know what I'm saying? But I was playing I was angry in the beginning.
Yeah.
I was angry, man. It was a bunch of rage. It was like,
It was controlled rage, though.
It was controlled. But a lot of times it was a lot of stuff that people didn't see.
Right,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, I had 4 coaches and everything before, because I was just so passionate about succeeding. I was so passionate about the game. But in the beginning, man, it was me trying to channel that rage the right way. And at times, I remember growing up, it was hard for me to channel it the right way. Because I grew up, just like our mentality in this city, when something like that happens, I just knew I was going to kill this dude if I ever saw him again.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And,
Sure.
But I knew, he was in jail. I think he was sentenced to 15 to life. So he's away. Okay, this is what I have. You know, this is what I have. I have to go out here every night, every day, and really get the job done. And it became so natural for me to want to be better than everybody else. You know, and I tell people all the time, like, 6 feet even. You know, I never went baseline and dunked on anybody. But if you talk to people that coached me, trained me, my approach to succeeding and getting better every single day, I always felt like it was second to none. You know, when I watch, even when I was young, I used to watch Michael. I used to watch, I was a big Mike Tyson fan.
Yeah.
I used to watch, even growing up in the early 2000s, I started to be a huge fan of Tiger Woods, Roger Federer, guys of that nature. But I would never watch the highlights. I would go to the interviews and see them talk about what they were inside, and it resonated with me so much. You know, I had a joke with my Dunbar team last year when I was coaching them that if I was 6'7", I'd have been on that top 75
That's
list.
100%. That's 100%.
Because when you say Mike Tyson, that's it. Because what I didn't get to say earlier was, like, the first time I saw you play was in an adult league, but you were like 16.
Yeah, I was playing with those guys. That's when like Bone had bought like Sherman Douglas and them back to play with us.
Yeah.
And we were down the farms, man. And I remember just like it was so crazy because guys who are like my good friends now, I'm not gonna name anybody, but I couldn't be friends with dudes back then. I could not be I couldn't even fraternize with you. If I thought I had to play against you, I couldn't fraternize. I just couldn't, because I got to see this dude one day. I got to go at this dude one day. I can't be friends with you. It's only about 2 guys that I became friends with, and probably because they were my age. We ended up going to the same schools, and that, you know, we started off as competitors.
Right.
You know, and I remember like the guys who were older than me, I was just coming after them. Yeah. You know, 2 or 3 years older, I was coming after those guys. So I couldn't. I remember one dude like that, I thought we was cool, man. This is after a game.
Who were your biggest basketball influences?
Fats was definitely one of them because he was right there.
Right.
You know, and I remember the summer before he passed away, we had a tournament right there on Saratoga Avenue, that same basketball court that I walked past. And he was another youngin' that would just kill older dudes. Like he had like 45. And this was adult league, you know, that we had around there. And I remember sitting there. I remember, you know how you bend over and grab your shorts while you a little tired?
Yeah.
He was like that. And I remember just looking at him for like 15 seconds, like, damn, this dude's a real deal. You know what I'm saying? I used to just watch. He used to have the spin move. You know, that's what people say I mastered. And I used to see him do that in and out to the spin move, you know, cross, or tween into the spin move. It was crazy. You know, his quickness, you know, the way he got off the floor. He was one of the first dudes that was like, you know, high school, like dunking around. Because, you know, we ain't really athletic like that, you know, in regards to jumping ability and stuff, you know, from this area. So he was one of the first dudes I seen like dunk around my way. But my biggest basketball influence was Delonte Taylor.
Yeah.
Nut was the biggest, for sure, the biggest. I met him, I was about 12 years old. And I remember I was playing with a dude, I don't know if you guys know Boo Boykins. Darius Boykins is his real name.
Okay, no.
He was he's from Brentwood, but I think he had moved, got a house out in like Bowie or something, and he developed the Bowie Panthers.
Okay.
And I was playing with him because he was from the neighborhood, so he was coming back to really get guys from our neighborhood, take us back out there. We was playing in these tournaments and stuff. And from what I heard, he reached out to Nut and was like, man, I got this kid for you, and I think what you have, he needs. He just went through some things. Maybe he'll talk to you about that if he wants to open up about that, but I think you could really help this kid, and I really think he has some potential. And I go and meet Nut, and I mean, he was like an everyday guy. Like, he would talk to you about the game call him now, you can't get off the phone with him.
Right.
Like, still about basketball. I'm sorry, he might talk about a game that happened in 71. I don't know nothing about these people, you know what I'm saying? But that was his passion for the game. And, you know, he started training me. I started working out with him. We were doing a lot of things. And I remember when I got to high school, I couldn't shoot the ball. I could not make a jump shot. My 9th grade year at Dunbar, I probably made 1 3. And he was like, man, you know, you could get this thing together. You got the right mechanics. It's just coming off your fingers the wrong way. And he taught me how to shoot in one day, literally. His mom had a house over there. I think that's 18th Street, close to Langdon Park.
Okay.
She had a court in the backyard, like a small, you know, plexiglass backboard court. Took me back there, man. He was showing me something. And I was like, this is a little awkward. I don't know if I can get my shot off the dribble. And he was like, okay, try this. And that evolved my game. I averaged like 12 points at Dunbar my 9th grade year to go on to average 21 as a sophomore because I could shoot the basketball now. I could make free throws without a problem. And then after, because he showed me this like basically during the season. So I had to adjust like quickly. And I remember that summer going into my 11th grade year, I worked all summer on my jump shot, just really getting in the gym. I'm bugging him, calling him, you know, when we get in the gym. And he was just, you know, I was just getting comfortable with it. And that's really what took me the rest of the way, being able to enhance my game that way. Because now I'm 30 points, 9 assists every game. You know,
I was coming to the game.
I remember that.
Pat and Jerry
50-point game in my junior year, and you know, it was even through college. You know, talking to him I used to send him tapes. He'll call me about a game. 2 a.m. He'll call me about a game that happened against Florida a year ago. You know, that's what kind of guy he was in regards to, you know, his mentorship. From a basketball standpoint, and it was literally the biggest influence on my life. Wow, for sure.
In preparation for us talking today, I was going back and looking at some stuff, and again, I was gone in college when you played in high school, and I don't know why it never hit me, but like you were averaging like 30 a game toward the end.
Both years, my last 2 years, I averaged 30. Last 2 years,
I'm coming in that joint just trying to support my little man.
Yeah,
Pat, Jerry Mack played.
My jump, but so. Pat played with me. I was but we were all 3 played. Pat was missing games.
Yeah, I was
practices.
Lazy. Yeah,
but Jerry was he was in the backcourt with me my junior year.
Yeah.
Then he transferred. You know,
I'm coming in
and I know these guys. You know, we played elementary against each other, so we had already been friends.
Hold up, I'm coming to I'm like they older home. You know, I'm coming to game.
Yeah.
Man, who the fuck? Hold up, man. Who that, man? Oh, that shorty be walking with Charlie. I'm like, what?
And
he crushing, like doing stuff that you know. And I'm not a. We talk about this a lot, even just in terms of me being a fan of. So I'm not like easily impressed with people. Like when you what stood out to me about your game or just how you were like a man amongst boys out there.
Yeah, because I was getting in way more work than the average kid at the time.
Yeah.
I used to go back to Northeast every day after school.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't practice till 6:15.
Right.
So I would go back to Langdon
so you'll go
Park,
home,
work out,
and then come to
back to practice. Yeah, because I developed a sleeping problem after my mom. So, by that time I could be up all day, 24 hours, get a little nap, and I'm fine. I remember if the lights were still on, I used to go to Montana. 1 or 2 in the morning, can't sleep. I go up here, play 1-on-1, full court with myself, you know, against the shadow. Nut used to tell me that, man. You know, you can never beat your shadow. You never get away from him. So if you're doing certain things, you know, you can actually get away from him.
You describing real life. Movie, like for real.
This is what it was.
And one of the things about where our show has evolved, right? When I'm listening to what you're saying, and again, we covered, you know, our last time we talked about some of this, but when you talking about somebody hearing what you're discussing about, like this really is about, you know, the pursuit of greatness, pursuit of excellence, right?
Sure.
And you even downplaying, I mean, not downplaying it, but like we ain't even getting into everything else that's happening,
Absolutely.
you know, around you and in your neighborhood. And what Sai has, you know, helped me even, you know, as far as like the focusing of the show in, what this what is it taking that pursuit and the level of discipline and commitment that you're describing. I just want people to really understand that, particularly for those of us that's coming from environments
Absolutely.
like the ones we come from. That's what it take. You really have to commit like to that degree.
It's okay to take that pain and turn it into that. I remember. I mean, I'm not going to name the kid, but it was a kid that was the real deal around here, and should be playing on Sundays right now. To be honest with you, and I talked to him. It was probably too late at the time, because he was already into whatever he was into. But I told him, I said, man, you know, you could, this stuff that you're going through, man. Because I love that opportunity, because you can't say he don't know what he talking about. He don't come from here. He ain't been through anything.
You can't say none of that.
Yeah, so
he can't say to you what you said when you was 11.
Right.
Like if that therapist
about
don't
what
know.
Yeah.
So I'm like, man, you really could take your hurt and your pain, man, and go and be special. Like the stuff that you're doing on the negative side, you could actually go and kill somebody inside of these lines, like literally, and feel good about it, and dominate them, like you're trying to do out here. You can go and override them. You know, you can go and be a giant because of that pain, and they'll pay you for this one day. And and that was something that I think I just naturally grasped onto, because the pain and the hurt was so early, and that divine 5 minutes that I was telling you about, I think did everything for me, because there was a question in there that I had to answer about making my mom proud.
Yeah.
And I feel like, my dad had a big part in that, because he was like this, he was a North Carolina guy. He's come from North Carolina. He came up here when he was 18, right after graduation. And a sophisticated guy, Southern guy, all that hospitality, he has that in the spirit naturally. Sure. So he helped me out with a lot of those things, and understanding that I don't have to be, thuggish, in a sense. Even though I'm from here, he used to, tuck the shirt in, these kind of things. I'm in the house. My grandmother lives there. I got 2 aunts that live there. Man, you don't walk around with your boxers on. Just different things that he would throw gems in there on. And my grandmother. And since our show, I lost both of them. I lost both of them 2 years after the show. I lost my dad in 2013 and my grandmother in 2019. And we'll talk about that. But my grandmother, man, was, the very best person I've ever seen in my life. She was, you talking about like, you talk about men, and you talk about being manly, and you talk about our dads and our uncles and how thorough they are. She was that in a woman. And I've never seen anything like it. And I don't think I will again. And I always tell this story about my senior year in college at the University of South Carolina. I tore the left meniscus in my knee. And I had to get an MRI the next day. And I guess the day after the MRI, Mark Rogers, he's the medical trainer for the team. He calls me and say, Trey, man, you need to get down here. Because at the time I didn't really feel like I was going to be out, a long time. I knew I had some discomfort in my knee. I knew I couldn't bend it. I couldn't straighten it. So I go down there and I walk into the training room that leads to like the players' lounge and the locker room at our practice facility. And I can see some teammates walking in the back of the players' lounge, and they're like teary-eyed. And I'm looking at everybody, and they're looking like everybody has these serious looks on their face. And Mark looks at me. He looked like he just finished crying. And this is my senior year. He looks me dead in the eye and say, Tre, your senior season is over. You tore the meniscus in your knee, and you have to get surgery. You'll probably be out about 6 to 8 weeks. And that rocked me.
Yeah.
I'm trying to go play professional basketball. I'm not trying to come back here without nothing, in regards to the basketball part. I'm not, people have been watching me on TV all these 4 years. I want this to mean something. So how could I, what's going to happen here now that I got to get surgery? The SEC conference play hasn't started yet. So we still have another 18 games left. Now, I know this is going to put a dent into anything I have moving forward, in regards to the professional side.
Right.
So there were some people that I would call after every game, no matter what. Call my uncle, call Bone, call Nut, call my grandmother. And I called my uncle first. He got kind of emotional, had to get off the phone. Bone got emotional, had to get off the phone. I'm telling him about, I got to get surgery when the season is over with. I called Nut. And surprisingly, all three of these guys had to get off the phone. You know what I'm saying? Like literally had to, like they couldn't even talk anymore. You know what I'm saying? And called my grandmother. And okay, Tre, everything's gonna be fine, baby. Don't worry about it. You know, you're gonna be all right. I'll call you later tonight, about 9:00. Okay. But I go and walk to my apartment, and I'm shedding tears, because who knows what could be up ahead, in regards to the surgery. I never had surgery before. I never missed a game.
Yeah.
High school I played
that's
all.
what you do.
Yeah, never missed a game. So trying to process it, and I'm back in my place, and I'm watching TV. We had the Nextel phones back then. Okay. She calls me. I pick up the phone, put it in my right hand, and, my knee is here, right? And I'm talking to her, and she said, Tre, you don't have to go and get the surgery. You'll be able to play. Don't worry about it. You'll be able to play. And I'm like, what you talking about?
Right.
These people done told me I got to get this surgery. I'm thinking that in my mind. Got a torn meniscus in my knee. You see certain NBA guys. I remember Arenas back then had this, he was out 2 months.
Yeah.
I'm seeing like, and I'm like, what's she talking about? The Holy Spirit told me to tell you that it's okay. It's already okay. Don't even worry about it. Go and play. And I know who I'm talking to. So you got to believe something. Like, I've seen this. I mean, I've literally seen, this is 2006. So I'm 21. So I've seen enough to know exactly who I'm talking to. I'm talking to a woman that had 7 children, lost 3 to murder in Washington, D.C. She lost three of her oldest 4 to murder, the third being my mom. The first 2, 1991, 2 months apart. And I saw her operate and have to raise their children. I saw her not budge in the midst of that. You know what I'm saying? I saw this woman, Lila Haith, not budge in the midst of that. So I know I'm talking to somebody that's telling me something, even though it sounds crazy.
No, for sure. Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? But
yeah,
I said, okay, Grandma, and I hang up the phone. And she said, I love you. We say that, I love you too. Talk to you tomorrow. And right before we get off the phone, she reiterates, Tre, because I'm supposed to be getting picked up at 5 that next morning. Remember, she's going to call me at 9. So we 8 hours away from them having to pick me up. to go straight to the hospital to get the surgery. she reiterates it. And when I'm hanging up the phone, man, I did like this.
Straighten John up.
Joint went back in place. Went back in place.
Telling you, fool. When them mothers and grandmothers bang that Holy Spirit,
Yeah,
you can't even fight
It
it.
went back in place. The meniscus went back in place. So when I told you, so I had a bucket handle tear. So you know a bucket, you got the handle.
Get the
on
hand to
it.
go over. Yeah.
So it flips just like a bucket handle. So it looks like a bucket handle, the meniscus. And I think it's here first. So when it flips like the bucket handle, it blocks the motion.
Oh, the same way a bucket does.
So you can't.
That's what it's for.
So
yeah.
you can't straighten it and you can't bend it. You see what I'm saying? So when I got off the phone with her and I straightened it, it went back in place. And now I can straighten it and bend it. So it's 5 a.m. Mark, the trainer, comes to pick me up. I get in the car and I said, Mark, I'm not getting the surgery. And he looked at me like he tripping.
Yeah.
Kept driving. Drives to the hospital. I played for Dave Odom, one of my greatest influences. Used to coach at Wake Forest, Coach Tim Duncan, all those guys. One of the icons. He was an animal. He's already upstairs in his scrubs, like trying to support me. We get out the car, we walk through the automatic doors open. There's 2 sets. Walk through the first one with Mark. He walks through the second one. I stand there, and he looks back. I was like, man, I'm serious, and he just didn't even know what to say. So he calls Coach. Coach comes down. We have like a meeting on the side.
Before y'all talk to the doctor.
Yeah. So, but they are trying to get me to have the surgery. So he goes back upstairs, get the doctor. The doctor looked me straight in the eyes, man, and said, Tre, I don't know who is telling you these things, but it's impossible that you can play. You cannot play on this knee. I said, Doc, I'm going to play. I said, I'm going to play, man. They gave me a week off. I missed my only game in college, right? I go on to lead the conference in scoring that year on the tournament. If you look back at the pictures of my senior year, I'm wearing a knee brace, like a joint you just pull up,
right?
And you don't see that in any other picture the previous 3 years. I have the knee brace on to kind of tighten it a little bit, but I go on. I don't miss another game. I mean, I missed the game because they wanted to see how my body would react. They thought my body and my knee would swell up real bad. But I don't know what it is about my body, but my body doesn't swell. Like you could probably hit it with a hammer and my knee just won't swell up. I don't know what to attribute that to, but that's just, he was checking my knee every day for a week. Like looking like, you can see him. He's not saying anything, but he's like amazed that my knee is not.
It's the man.
Yeah.
He don't know the God she served. Yeah, he don't know the God she served.
So, man, I go on. I mean, I got 36 at Kentucky. I don't know the record books now, but that was the 4th most at Rupp Arena at that time.
Yeah, in Rupp.
From a visitor.
Mm.
Yeah.
32 against Vanderbilt. I get 20 in the first half against the national champion Florida. They won the national championship that year for the second time actually, and it was this incredible year, man.
That's Noah in them teams.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Joakim Noah, Al Horford. I was first team All SEC that year.
Yeah.
The only person that was even anywhere under 6'9". You get 5 picks. You got myself, Al Horford, Joakim Noah, Corey Brewer, and it was somebody, I forgot the 5th guy, maybe Rondo or somebody, I think was the 5th guy on that first team. And they didn't really know that I had a torn meniscus. They kept saying in the paper, like, the reports, I remember ESPN saying, Kelley might sit the rest of the game out with tendinitis. But the whole time I had this torn meniscus. So they had to go back. There were games where they had to go take me in the back because it would flip out. That bucket handle tear, That joint
so
would flip.
wood. Okay.
It would flip, like I think about 7, 8 times. All not doing games, but they would take me in the back and they would, so when I was talking to my grandmother and I got off the phone, I remember the game that I tore it. So I tore it in the first half of the game against Jacksonville, non-conference game on the 29th of December. So this right before SEC play start. And I remember, I think it was in that position where the bucket handle tear is flipped, right?
Okay.
And I remember a guy named Dr. Guy. He kind of like, he laid me back and he kind of like, he pushed it a little bit, maneuvered my knee and then flipped back in. And when I was talking to my grandmother, I remember that. And when I got off the phone with her, that's how it went back in place. You see what I'm saying?
So that became how you got it to flip. I got
but they would do it. I didn't know. Like I tried to do it after that, and I couldn't do it. You know what I'm saying? But they would. I remember the Mississippi State game, the Vanderbilt game, LSU. We played LSU at LSU, and they would take me in the back, man, and because I was just so determined to just play. I'm like I'm playing. I can't just sit out every game. That's going to drive me crazy. I'm playing. So we did everything we had to do.
You know what I'm thinking about, right? I'm cuz for most fans or just people, right, who look at sport. You play basketball, but just sport in general,
right? Absolutely.
And you talked about like Federer and Tiger and of course like Jordan, and then you talk about Tyson, right?
Muhammad Ali also. That was
Ali,
one of my guys.
So And there are sort of no matter what the sport is, there's the greats, right? There's a commonality, right, amongst, and so that dedication. We already know the talent is there, but like it's people that are very good because of talent.
For sure.
But like the greats, or the people that sustain and do it for a long time, it takes those other things, right? What are those? If you had to name the top 3 things, we kind of already talked about sort of like the discipline and the commitment, and maybe those are in your top 3.
That's
right?
it.
All right, so what's the next thing?
It's the discipline and the commitment, and I don't know how you have that without the work ethic. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And there may be some more things like actually, because in the basketball community, you talk about the state of the game today, not just NBA or college, but the state of like when you're watching the high school kid or you're watching the junior high school kid play ball. And what happens now, they don't watch it a lot. They just don't watch the game. And I remember growing up, and they're missing the dynamic of being able to play outside every day. So they're missing that, right? But let's say they were, but you wasn't watching the game. Let's say you don't watch the game, but you still have the dynamic of going out there to play just straight off of instinct, like we used to do when we were 9, 10, 11, 12, even up to 15, 16 years old. I'm watching Steve Nash, but then I'll watch Iverson. Then I'll watch Jason Kidd. I'll watch Michael. I'll watch Garnett in his early days at Minnesota. Even Tim Duncan. You watch Kobe. When you really watch the game, you're watching like 40 people, 40 of the top players, right? And when you watch it so much, your body might just do something that you saw without even trying.
Yeah.
So even though I'm 6 feet even, I done went baseline and took that fade away like Kobe and Michael.
Yeah.
I done posted some dudes up.
Yeah.
And
I'm
giving them that.
Yeah.
I done gave some people the Olajuwon pump fake with the head turn around.
Because you feeding
jump
yourself
hook shot. Right. And they don't have too many people to emulate these days. So now you go to this trainer, and this guy could be somebody that never played professionally, right? They just want $40, $60 from your mom or dad to train them, and they might be pretty good, but you're probably just going to play like he plays. You see what I'm saying? You're not. But how many opportunities do you get to maybe play like Iverson or who's today, Harden or Kawhi Leonard? You got Luka Doncic, you got Kyrie, the Tatums. You have all these guys who have different set of skills.
Everybody like they trying to.
And when you watch it, and when you watch everybody, you steal so many different things. So I'm watching all those guys that I just named, but man, I get to go and see Kurt Smith. I get to go and see Sherman.
Yeah.
I get to go and see Greg Jones, Moochie Norris.
Sure enough.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
man, if I take something from all these different guys, this is a different story. And I was. You know, I mean, that half a hook, I mean, I have that early, you know, because that's all I had in the beginning, 9th grade. I'm just getting in the lane, going baseline, off of 2 feet, off of 1 foot, going left. I mean, I seen Kurt go left and hit off the backboard, going. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm stealing that. So I don't think, like, you know, I'm saying that to say that that's a 4th or 5th one because you have to study the game too, in order to like I said, when I'm going up Montana, you know, I'm doing something that I seen.
Yeah.
And now you're putting that into your game, but really without even trying. And I don't think they're getting the opportunity these days to even have that opportunity to implement that. You know what I'm saying?
We on this show, we try to pull off a master class each time with our guests, right? So let me set the stage for you. Let's say this is like Langdon Park on a Saturday morning, right? You got your normal people there, right? But then there may be some people you don't know that are there. You walk on the court and they pick up their 5, you got your 5. Guy that's standing across from you that's charged with checking you, you never seen him before. Walk us through, like in that moment, what are you looking for from him to figure out what you can do to him?
So what happens is, I used to have this thing where if me and Tony about to play against each other, even if we're playing, we're gonna go to that as far as the Langdon Park on a Saturday, but he plays with Coolidge. I know you're the point guard. In the warm-up line, I'm gonna lay it up and then run. You know, you run to the half court. I'm gonna look at him. Most of the time, they do this. They don't want to look me in the face.
Yeah.
I got him.
Yeah, intimidate.
I'm gonna get him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I got something for him. But I already have, because you know, you have a sense of arrogance anyway when you work that hard and you know that you can get the job done. So I had that already before the game. So now I have that, and I got, and he, you know, we might be at the free throw line. Dude might make a comment like, man, slow down on us, or something like that. Oh, he all the way messed up.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You don't even realize you paying that much attention.
He's all the way messed up. Like, he's all the way, he's like out of it. You know what I'm saying? And I done played against some thorough dudes too, where I'm like, man, I gotta strap these up tonight. You know what I'm saying? I gotta see this dude. I've been hearing about him. I'm talking about even as a pro.
Right.
But the one thing that I didn't do, like I said, I did not fraternize with anybody. I remember playing guys that I know overseas. Now, we're in another country. It's a dude, baby, from here. I don't know. I've seen a couple guys. I ain't going to name nobody, but I've seen a couple guys. I'm not speaking to you before the game.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not speaking to you before the game. Maybe after the game. I don't know. But
possibly.
But I got, like, we're about to battle in here, and it's something bigger than us, man. What you been up to? It's bigger than that right now. And I feel like on a Saturday morning where, you know, that's the only thing you have is more so bragging rights. Even if the bragging rights are kept in and nobody says anything about it, I know walking away that day with the win or walking away with people like, man, you know, your teammate yelling at you, man, you gonna play some defense on them? Right. Or, you know, just that gives you the upper hand, and that gives you a feeling of you succeeded that day. So that's, I'm really not looking for too much. You know, those first couple plays, I might see what he bite for. I might see, you know, what he, you know, I might even seen him play before. I studied so much without even thinking I was studying that I used to just, you know, see what guys do. I might see you shoot around a little bit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? See, you know, it's a meme on like Instagram where a little kid is tying up his shoe and he looking like, you know, who in here today kind of thing. I don't know if y'all seen that, but it's a kid like in the gym, he's tying up his shoe, but he's looking around.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm talking about like a kid like 4 years old, 5 years old,
Right.
but he looked like an older dude. When, you know, you get to the court, you tie your shoes up. Okay, who here today? And I might see somebody shooting around. I'm gonna give him an open jump shot, see if he make it, or can't give him an open jump shot. Or this dude look a little strong. You know, he look a little athletic. You know, maybe watch the first game if you ain't get there early enough. Or you might just have it going on. You know, got it going because you played the first game. And ain't nobody gonna stop you that day. You know what I'm saying? And it's a lot of different things, man, that I fed off of from a personal standpoint. That it really got to the point where if I had rough nights, man, it was most of the time it wasn't because of what was going on the other side.
Right.
Because I really I was crazy about being sharp, like a lunatic about being sharp. I was crazy about my fitness, you know, throughout that time.
What that look like for you?
Man,
You
I
say,
was
like, what is that? What that
So,
look like?
I remember
'Cause that's preparation. That's
for
what
sure. So I was about 165 pounds when I left Dunbar. My last game at Dunbar, I was like 163, 165, right? And the thing about me is my work ethic was so crazy, especially in high school. I still had a social life. You know, I was still able to hang out with my guys from the neighborhood. We loved TCB.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I mean, you know, we go to the mat. We doing all of that. So I know this is my last opportunity to really hang with these dudes. My life is about to change. You know, I got 4 years of college. I'm thinking about playing professional basketball. I want to do that. I know I'm going to do that at some level. So let's hang out. Even though I'm working out every day, we going out, and I was a drinker at the time. So I was drinking a little bit. I gained about 30 pounds going into South Carolina.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Drinking and shit. It's like, now go.
Not all bad weight, because I was lifting weights, getting ready for college. I was working out, but I didn't know it. You know, I'm thinking it's the weights, but it was a little bad weight. I was probably like 10%, 12% body fat because it's a different level when you go down there.
Right.
So they're really checking everything. So I'm like 12, 13% body fat. And I'm like, no way I can do this. You know what I'm saying? So, man, it's like a personal seminar, man. I started looking up everything. Got away from rice. This is without anybody telling me. Got away from rice, got away from, you know how when you go to like college level, they tell you to eat pasta and stuff before the game.
Yeah.
I'm heavy,
Right.
you know, before the game. So I stopped eating all that. Stopped eating pasta, stopped eating rice, stopped eating white bread. And even though I was still drinking a little bit in college, but my fitness was getting better. You know, the core, you know, they tell you about the core and how that is important. So I started to implement everything on the college level and implement the things that I was starting to learn about myself, because I was always listening to my body. So, you know, got extremely better in regards to my fitness over the next couple of years. And then going into my senior year, I completely cut out drinking. Like, never took a drink. So you're talking about my senior year, then you're talking about going to play professionally. Now you got the financial means to really take care of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And
the incentive.
For sure.
Yeah.
Right?
For sure.
I would think,
Absolutely. So my body just changed drastically. And I started working out. I know Manuel Talbot.
Yeah.
Call him Boo.
Mm-hmm.
He was my trainer after my second year. And he's incredible. One of the best I've ever seen. Right? And his workouts were so tough, I couldn't get adjusted to him over the first month. Now, even though I was eating healthy, I was doing what I was supposed to do, I was eating out a lot. You know, you got a little money, eating out a lot, taking my family out, doing this. But I'm eating out, though. So to adjust to his workouts, man, I had to almost not eat food much during the week. It was like I was eating like trail mix, protein shakes, and fruit every day. Because forget about how it tastes, there's a bigger picture here for me, because I'm trying to succeed. I'm trying to do everything I can, because I'm trying to get to the NBA still. Even though I spent my first couple of years overseas, I'm trying to get to the highest point, no matter where that is or what that looks like. So I was, cleansing 2 or 3 times a year, even now. You know what I'm saying? And I just learned so many things that help my body, and that was like me staying in shape the way that I did, and just my work ethic and how I dedicated myself to the game, I think was my biggest attributes. People look at the skill and say, man, this, Tre could do this, Tre could do that. But behind those scenes, man, was some of the craziest stuff I've ever seen. And it was me doing it.
Yeah.
I remember being in I started this thing when I got to China. And, you're on the road, we're on the road in the hotel. We would go and eat. Because I always felt like food, you're in worse, even if you're eating healthy, you're in worse shape after you eat than you are before.
You talking this language. Like,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You really are.
Yeah.
You really are. So if we had a team breakfast or a team lunch, man, I could be on the 45th floor, 30th floor. I would run the steps back to my room. I'd run the steps. And what that was doing was getting my body kind of warmed up. And I might go and that might be me going to take a little nap too. So it wasn't right before the game. So I'd go and that'd get my body activated a little bit. My legs would feel a little stronger. I would always lift weights in the morning before a game. I was just implementing all of this stuff, just kind of listening to my body for real, knowing what I needed. Because when you play, you practice, let's say you practice 2 hours. You're starting here in regards to your strength, and that lowers every run you take down that court. It lowers your body getting weaker. You're sweating, so your body's definitely getting weaker. So you got to put that back on. So I used to go after practice and go lift again. Get on the treadmill, run. If my body felt slow, I get on the treadmill, run intervals. I was doing all kinds of stuff, man. That was just a part of my psyche. Who knows if I even needed it all of that time.
Yeah.
But in my psyche, I'm preparing myself, and I feel more confident because I feel more prepared before this particular basketball game.
And I was going to ask, I think, again, basketball, of course, we're talking about, but you play basketball, but anything you do, the one thing I think about a lot of times is if I do something, particularly if I do something well, right? I know what it looks like.
Absolutely.
As far as your opponent or whatever, I know what it look like.
Sure.
So I know, and he can't do that.
Right.
Like, who's speaking first, me or him?
Right.
And that's how I be. You know what I'm
saying?
But right, but also when you talk about that pursuit of greatness or excellence or whatever, it's like when I'm here, it's like, sometimes you also know that it's not even unequivocally, you have to do the things that other people won't do.
You have to.
You understand what I'm saying?
You have to.
Gotta do.
In every story, you got these guys, man, that we've seen over the years become greats. There's a backstory to it somewhere where they're doing something that you really don't see.
Yeah.
You see these guys go to LA and they running that sand hill and they doing all this different stuff. And like I said, for myself, it was just me listening to myself, listening to my body, what I needed this particular summer going into the next, what I didn't do so well the last season. And that afforded me 14 times.
And that knee stay. Well, Grandma said that you never had surgery.
Games I had surgery at the end of the season.
Okay.
Yeah. So I did get the surgery.
You wound up getting the surgery though after the season.
Yeah, probably sat for about 3 weeks. But you played
14.
Probably missed 4. I missed 4 games.
Yeah, look at that.
14 years. I missed 4 games, man.
Sister Hafe, man, you keep playing.
She was.
She
was.
And what you put, I think, but yeah, what you put into your body too.
For sure.
Or did not put into your body.
Absolutely.
Super
Absolutely.
important.
Yeah, never was a smoker, and I put the drink down, in college.
Yeah.
So I spent my entire professional career not drinking, so not really putting, and I did the sauna a lot. I got into that 2010.
How often?
Man, during the summer, I'm doing it every day. When I was coming back
after your workouts.
For sure, yeah.
And how long are you in the sauna?
I'm so accustomed to it now. I might be in there 30, 45 minutes, sometimes an hour. But, that breaks you down too. So you really got to put stuff. I would I got into it where I was taking stuff in the sauna with me, knowing that I'm
Wow.
sweating out.
Right.
I might have a protein shake. I might have a shake just with fruit. I might have I will freeze waters so I can drink it while I'm in there. You see what I'm saying? Just a bunch of stuff, like I said, that I'm doing, not even really getting tips. It's just me listening to myself. And it seemed like I always knew or figured out what to do in regards to my body, in regards to my mind, in regards to my game. And it was working out for me, you know, and it was just me. I think when you're pushing yourself and, man, you want to be so successful, you'll figure out anything because that's your focal point. That's your goal. And it's like you can't mess up at that because when you fail, it's not failure to you because you're going to get past that and figure out a way to bust through that door, for sure.
Wow. I want to read something from July 8th, 2020.
Mm-hmm.
In life, I've been here before. Much too many times. If you know me, being down 12-6, going to 13 was nothing to get rattled about.
Mm-hmm.
I walked through those lines before and came out the other side, clean as a whistle. The noise, the yelling, the arguing, the chaos surrounding the atmosphere was tense, but I remained in the dark, in a lonely room by myself, calculating what it would take for me to walk him down. Few hundreds of people screaming just feet away from me, and all I could hear was my thoughts, and most importantly, my heartbeat was the same. It's different when you're me. I've taken this test 1,000 times. I didn't always pass it, but it taught me how to go about it and what to do.
Yeah.
Keep calm and let the lion prowl. If you count me out, you're mistaken. I'm 35, and these youngins are calling me out to do something I've mastered 20 years ago. I figured I should be proud of that. But remember one thing, you can't sell wolf tickets in the lion's jungle. Sunday, this is for Northeast. I'm there.
Yeah.
You remember that?
For sure.
Oh, that's that one-on-one jump.
Yeah.
Yeah. Play the sweatpants and all that. Yeah. I remember that. Damn.
Younger guy, man, pretty good player. Really, it was a mismatch in a sense. Like, he don't even play my position. Like, he was just, I think he was calling out the name. Like, I want to play Tre. And I was, for me, even now, somebody call me right now and call me out, I'm going to play.
But at
Like,
that
it's
moment,
just-
let me cut you off real quick to set the tone for everybody watching. That was during the pandemic.
Yeah.
When all of y'all were going crazy every night, 11 o'clock,
Yeah.
we was on live
Yeah.
talking about who going to play who.
For sure.
And I think it did get the best of some people.
Yeah, absolutely.
They started calling out folks there.
Yeah. So,
He was enthused by that.
Yeah.
By the
Yeah.
way.
I used to watch everything.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie.
so I think I
Yeah.
took the lead first, probably about 4-3. And I was pretty much retired by this time. I was still working out, training and stuff.
Right.
And it's the pandemic. You couldn't really get in the gym. You couldn't really do much. I think I went down to Orlando. Me and Victor Oladipo, pretty good friends, and I ended up going to train him. So this will tell you that I'm done, like as far as playing.
Right.
I think I came back, and that's when, this stuff was going on Instagram. And the kid took the lead, man. Like, it was like 12-6. Looked like a landslide. We're going to 13, though. And that shot, because I'm kneeling down, and dude is like got the camera. I can't even really see him. I know he's there, but the dude's got the camera right here looking at me. And I'm thinking to myself, like, man, there's no way I'm about to lose 13-6.
Yeah.
There's no way I can. This can't happen. And I'm thinking about. I'm trying to really, like I said on that, calculating. Okay, he really ain't stopping me from going right. I just got to hit a couple jump shots. I'll get back into this thing. And he's getting tired. I done seen him kneel down. He done called a timeout and everything. So I walked it down. I walked it down. I walked it all the way down. And when I wrote that post, it was about the game, but it was really about all the other stuff. And I'm, like I said, I'm retired. So the as far as playing professionally, it's pretty much over with. I had a son. I kind of came back to be there with him. I couldn't really take him over there with me, and kind of, be comfortable about, going to school there and all that kind of stuff. So I came back. And it was another indication of just who I was. You know what I'm saying? Another test of, you've seen all these things, you've been through all these things. Who are you now down 12-6 to a kid that's probably, 8, 9, maybe even 10 years younger than you.
Right.
And I put it together to come back.
Yeah.
The game didn't finish. He quit. He won't say that, but he quit.
Yeah.
I think if you look at that last play, I crossed it, he pushed me, lost the ball a little bit. I grab it back, shoot the float off the glass to tie it up. And he was trying to call travel. First, he thought I was going to miss, actually. He thought I was going to miss. So if you look at the play, the ball is in the air. He's walking back to go check the ball
earlier.
You know what I'm saying? He's walking back to go check the ball up. And he's looking back. And as soon as I made it, he said travel. But the people who running it say it's a bucket. Even the people on his side, it's a bucket.
Yeah.
And he said, he basically told them, if the bucket counts, I'm done.
He went out. He ready. He was
ready. And he was tired at that point.
Yeah.
He was. I was digging inside, just trying to get everything that I could get because I couldn't walk off that court with a loss. And I've treated that situation, the same way a lot of different times.
That's a microcosm for your life.
In certain games, and a lot of times you don't win those. That's 1-on-1. But I've been in games you down 7. There's been times we come back. There's been times we lost those. But I treat it the same way every time. Like we got to figure out something. Yeah. And that's what that was. Yeah.
We talked about so that period between the first interview and now, and definitely God rest your father and your grandmother. Mm-hmm. So so you've lost them. But you just mentioned, which I had in my mind that definitely asked, like building up all the things we talked about, all your attributes, all your preparation, your work ethic, your commitment, your discipline. How has those things translated into fatherhood? You know what I mean? Because that's you brought life into the world since that last time too. So
it's we've had a lot of. He's 6 years old, man, but we've already had so many talks about a lot of different stuff. Yeah. I remember my aunt telling me a little bit after my dad passed that, your dad never talked to you like you was a baby, even when you was that young. Mm-hmm. He always talked to you with the same voice, like if he was talking to his friend that's his age. And, I talked to him a lot about, and he knows about his grandmother, my mom. He knows about his grandfather, my father. He's met my grandmother, so he was here a little bit of that time. And he remembers her, which is good. So I know she put something on him.
Sure enough.
And them hugs and holding him. And I know she gave him something that's going to take him a long way. But that, that's the stuff that we've talked about me doing and being as a basketball player. That's just who you are. So as a dad, that's who I am. So you might see him being soft a little bit and say something to him about not like you're being soft, but hey, you'll be okay, man. You bump your knee a little bit, you'll be fine. Just different things of that nature when certain situations come up. And it's amazing to see because it's like we we're great teachers when we've been through all this stuff.
Sure. Like
we can really teach some things because we know what it looks like on the other side, and we don't want ours to get to that side. And it's a tough situation. I couldn't imagine. I was telling, me and Jerry Mack talk all the time. Yeah. We might be on the phone 2-3 hours, and
Boo Mac.
Yeah, and it's like, he's amazing. I tell him, man, I was walking to school at 9.
Yeah,
I was walking.
You wouldn't even dream about letting your son.
Oh my goodness! In 3 years,
right from there, you'll be like, "It's no way, no way."
I think I said this to you before. I don't imagine Molly ever catching the train.
Yeah, but if you said it to me,
I was 12. What's that? 1990. 8, I guess. So I'm 1997. I'm 12. I got to catch the train to Deal.
Yeah.
And that's like 10, 11 stops on the train, on the metro. And I got to walk from Saratoga Avenue to Rhode Island Station.
Rhode Island, yeah.
And then that's like a 2-hour joint.
Yeah.
You know, by myself.
Yeah, 12.
But to be honest with you, man, after my mom passed, I really grew up so much that I was making a lot of decisions on my own. Because you got to think about how, even though it was, my grandmother had this mood and spirit over her house that we didn't feel like we lived in that neighborhood because of how spiritual it was inside, right?
Yeah.
But it was it's hard to like explain this, but going through what I went through, growing up so fast, it was scattered in the house because there was so many people in there. You know what I'm saying? So my grandmother is in there, my grandfather's in there, my uncle's in there who had a kid. My aunt is in there with her now husband who had 2 kids. My other aunt in there with her now husband. That's 10 people. My cousin who was involved in the mass shooting on Saratoga Avenue last year, the end of last year. I know you had to see that, 300 shots. He was the one in the wheelchair that got killed. You know what I'm saying? His dad was one of the children of my grandmother who died in 91. He's already living in there because his dad already died, so she's already taking care of him. That's 11. And now I joined the bunch. There's 12 people in there. And my dad, I didn't move with him, even though he was always around, never left after my mom passed. He was always around. So I'm really coming back in there. And I'm not talking about my situation. I'm not talking about what I'm feeling inside. It's a lot of quietness on the inside for me. It's just a lot of observing. It's a lot of just thinking. It's a lot of praying. And for me, I just started making my own decisions. Imagine coming back telling your dad what elementary school you're about to go to.
Yeah.
Dad, I'm going to Deal. All you got to do is go up there and sign the papers. Dad, I'm going to Dunbar. I just went up there and talked to these people, man. I'm going to Dunbar now. You know what I'm saying? Coach Odom's going to come over here. I think I'm going to go to the University of South Carolina. And it was just natural. You know, it was, for some reason, it was just natural for me to do that because that's just the cards that life was dealing me.
Sure.
You know, I didn't feel, you know, like I was in poverty, or I didn't feel like, I still didn't even feel like I didn't have opportunities, man. Right. I didn't feel like that because I always felt like this is going to happen because I'm going to push myself until it happens. So when we saying that about our kids, I can't imagine myself not having my guidance to do certain things. But man, when I was, you know, only a few years older than him, where he is now, I had to do all of that stuff. And I guess that's the life that God wanted to give us so that we could give this the right way. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? The stuff that you always talk about, you know, you going through or went through, you know, at a young age. And, you know, that's just coming to fruition, you know, with your dad, you know, returning. You know, how long you had to go through that. Who knows what you were feeling? That's why I said nobody knows. It's like you can talk to your wife. You can talk to your friends. You can talk to different people. You can go and speak to all these people, but nobody knows, man, when those lights turn out, when you in the shower, when you everything what your action was actually going on in here. You know what I'm saying? And it's so traumatic. You know what I'm saying? It is extremely traumatic when you go through all of these different things. Like my childhood, man, was unbelievable, man. You're not supposed to see all of that stuff.
Ain't no question.
You're not supposed to. You're not supposed to see it. I'm talking about before 15. You're not supposed to see it, man. You're not supposed to see that stuff, man. You're not supposed to see dude get hit in the chest with a punt at a 9, and you see the people cutting the shirt when they come, the ambulance come, and you see all the stuff up his back from the gauge shot, you know, and oh man, like you're not supposed to do that. I can't imagine my son seeing that, not even on a movie.
Yeah. Right.
Like if the movie's on,
yeah, you only want him to see that.
You know what I'm saying?
It's
but
fictional.
We
saw
talking about
it for real
life,
like feet away.
Somebody you know.
Oh man, like being outside and just.
Do you want him to? What do you want? What you want him? What do you want him to do? Do you want him to hoop?
I want him to hoop. Of course, I mean.
Yeah, that was a low.
You know,
Are you prepare yourself if he don't want to hoop?
I prepare myself for that. I prepare myself for that.
Sure.
It'll be a tough day. It'll be a tough day.
Yeah.
It'll be a tough day, especially if he go out there and he can't really do it.
Yeah.
But if he give me enough in the beginning, I can do something with that. I can do something with that. I just want him to play. And I feel like if he gets there, we'll be fine. Because he's going to play. Put it like that.
Look.
The kid's crazy. He crazy about it already.
You already know that.
Because that's how I learned.
He like a dear Jim baby,
for sure.
though.
I learned how he's learning now. Like so, you know, we'll put the court up over the door. We done had the full court on the carpet. One court here, one court here. He watches it so much and knows everything. He knows triple-double. Man, LeBron had 28, 14, and 9 last night, Dad.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, Slim. Like, and I love hearing that. But when I was young, man, this is like 92, 93, before I'm even really doing anything basketball-wise, I'm in my house with the hanger. And you know, you open the hang up, you put it in the door. Yeah. And my mom used to make the basketballs for me out of like newspaper, put duct tape over it.
Right.
And she'll make the basketball. And I'm on, I'm infatuated with Michael Jordan, how he played the game. And I feel like when he talks about his drive, right? But he was winning too much back then in the 90s. And I used to be on the teams that he was playing against in the finals. I used to in my room. I'm with Portland,
right,
and then I'm with Phoenix,
right.
You know, and I'm like throwing the alley to Barkley, you know, in my mind.
Right.
So and I remember when I first played, it was like I had something already. Like I knew how to dribble. I used to walk up and down Saratoga Avenue with the ball, no socks on sometimes, all socks on, and just, you know, without even really doing anything. You know, because they didn't have the court. They had the court, the actual pavement, but they didn't have the baskets on there for some years for whatever reason. And, you know, I used my imagination a lot before I actually played. And I feel like that's what he's doing right now, just using his imagination. Like he doing all of that, like, you know, leaving it up there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He likes to watch my stuff I might catch him watching my stuff on YouTube.
Yeah.
You know, coming in, he looking. He might put it down like don't want me to see him watch it. You know what I'm saying? So it's cool. Fun. It's fun. So I can't wait for him. And he's 6, and you know you got a lot of kids starting already. I didn't start really until I was 10, and I just want him to have fun right now. You know, so I take him to some workouts sometimes just to, you know, dribble the ball and do some certain stuff from a structural standpoint. But I don't want to really put him on a team because I feel like it's going to give him a lot of pressure to be good. And if he, you know, I don't want him getting disappointed just yet before I want him to really understand what it's like to be disappointed. Don't get disappointed and you sad and you take yourself away from the work ethic. You want to be disappointed, but you want to fix that the next time. So I want to, you know, I feel like I'm going to make the right choice naturally, or when I really want him to start playing on the team. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So we'll see what that looks like.
Yeah.
So as we wrap this up, I want to do a quick rapid round.
Yeah.
Right. I'm gonna say some names. You gotta give me one word.
Okay.
For those people, Simeon Williams.
Innovator.
Okay.
Because I don't even know who could fill those shoes, because he was the one-man Boys and Girls Club in a sense, because you can find a month in the summer and Simeon might have 18 opportunities for you to play basketball.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Man.
You know what I'm saying? And thorough guy, man. When you think about him, thorough dude, man. He wouldn't let you. He ain't gonna let you whine or nothing. I remember he roughed me up a couple times, just just complaining about calls or anything. He was the real deal, man. He was the real deal. He was one of the guys, real special. Should have said special. Special dude, man. Real special guy.
PG.
Best friend. Only 8 years older than me. Yeah. So, we're in the house at the same time. Mm-hmm. He's the youngest out of all of his siblings. So my grandmother's youngest kid. And I've watched him, man, in so many aspects of life and his growth. And when you see him now and know exactly his everyday movement now, man, you can shed a tear about where he came from.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? He's my best friend, but he has so many other qualities. And I'm pretty sure some gigantic descriptions will come from, like, his son, his daughter, his oldest son, his oldest daughter, us as his family members. He's the one that a lot of people call on, without even trying. Something happens, it's like, you call him. And like I said, to see his process and where he is now, just as a man, like it's something to be proud of, just being a part of that. Like I said, he was one of the people that I would call after my games every night. And he's like another special person.
I got 3 more, and then we're gonna wrap it up.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm all over the place, but Brian Chase.
Brian Chase, I feel like he started off being at the bar.
That's why I put his name in there. I figured that.
Yeah, so I watched him hit the 2 3-pointers to win the championship the year before I got there. His name was already up in the rafters by the time I walked in the door. Mm-hmm. And he was the only one that I really seen from Dunbar, that I could connect Dunbar to, because I didn't really see the guys in the early 90s. I wasn't watching basketball like that. Even the mid 90s, I wasn't watching the game. So my first just whiff of Dunbar was him hitting jump shots, him winning the championship. He had other great basketball players on that team, but of course he was the catalyst. So for me coming in, I kind of knew where the bar was set, and either I'm going to get there or surpass that.
Yeah. 2 more. Ricky Duckett.
Man. Undescribable, because he meant so much to me, and there's so many different things that I can say to describe him. We like to deal with thorough people, as long as I've known you, I can just see it in your eyes when we speak. As long as I've known you, I can see it in your eyes when we speak. And this is probably one of the most thorough guys I've ever seen. He was my assistant coach at South Carolina. Very fierce guy, like one of the fiercest competitors as a coach that I've ever seen. And he would stay on me, man. He didn't give me a compliment until I was a senior.
Wow.
That I was almost out, about to leave, and I couldn't even imagine the things that he said, about me at the senior banquet. This is the end of the season. After my last year, I done played 4 years with this guy. Never gave me a compliment, but what he said, man, I didn't even know that. When somebody's on you hard all the time, you don't even know if they're paying attention to the good things. And I remember in the Washington Times, this was like at the tail end of my season when they did a story on me. This was my senior year. He said some of the words that I spoke in that post, like, you can never count a guy out like him. You say he can't do something, he finds a way to do it. I just read that probably a couple months ago. And he was like, he has the heart of a lion. That's where I got that from, because those were his words. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I never, when you're living in the battle, you never really categorize yourself because you're just in it. You know, you're in the moment pretty much every time. So as a retired player, yeah, I look back and say, I did this or did that. But in the moment, you're never really thinking about who you are or what you could do or accolades or anything. You're just, it's this day, it's this practice, it's this game. I got to conquer this. And for him to say those things, man, was real special for me.
Last one. Curtis Chambers, Curbo.
Everything to me. I met Kurt when I was 14, and when you're dealing with coaches, like they implement some lively things in there about life and how to conduct yourself as a man. But I went to the University of South Carolina to play for a white coach. Played all over the world, mostly, other races. But he gave me everything, told me about his life back in the days. Even when we first met, we would talk about these different things. And his gems reached to other areas outside of basketball. And those were the things that I needed. Because when you're growing up in this city, like your mentorship has to be a huge hat of people, because you can't just have your dad, you can't just have your coach, can't just have your teacher. It's when they say it's a village, especially in this city, it takes a village. And I had long talks with him, man. I would play a game with him at Berry Farms. He would come to my Dunbar games, take me home, and we would sit on Saratoga Avenue, man, for like 3 hours. So we're already after the game. It's 10, 11 o'clock. He might roll out at 2. We just sitting there talking about different stuff. Yeah. Just being there, just being, with him. And you get a chance I'm 39. That's a long time to know a person that's older than you. And you get a chance to know how much wisdom a person has. You get a chance to understand what kind of person you're dealing with, because you kind of, that don't always go that way. A guy, they might be different down the line. 100%. I was supposed to be, a lot of people think, in the NBA for 15 years. I didn't do that. He didn't change. You know what I'm saying? He didn't switch up, or and I seen that. I seen that. I seen people who switched when I didn't play in the NBA, but then they saw that it was just as lucrative overseas, and then tried to come back in.
They finally made a mistake.
Yeah. But I feel like it wasn't about that with him. We were friends from the beginning, and one of the best relationships I've ever developed. Yeah.
Trey, man, we appreciate you being on here, man.
Man, this is...
Yeah, bro, we could talk forever. We got so much more. You know what I'm saying?
I can come back.
Yeah, but I say you got to come back.
Yeah, because it's, like, our experiences just wrapped up in one bottle. That's 100. That could be 100 years of things.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I'm saying? Just so many different experiences, man. And I wanted to get into that Brentwood thing.
Nah, we got. But
incredible, man.
We got some, and I wanted to get into some more, your perspective on the world too, because you've seen it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we gonna jump back in.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we got to get that locked in there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll do a part 2 for sure.
For sure, absolutely, whenever.
So 5 minutes, 10 months, but then a lifetime of commitment to being better.
Yes, indeed.
That's it.
And I couldn't be more proud of the results.
Yeah.
I mean, the results are still making itself.
Yeah.
So I'm proud of that too. Yeah.
That's it. Well, thank you guys again for watching. Thanks to our guest Tre Kelley for being
Legend
here.
Tre Kelley, man.
Yes, indeed.
Appreciate you.
As I always say, man, like the page, subscribe to the page, share with a friend, and we'll be back real soon. So until then,
Heart of the City.
Heart of the City. Take care.